When you hear the word caregiver, a very specific picture probably comes to mind. Our culture follows a few well-worn paths. We know what it looks like when a parent cares for a child, when a spouse cares for a partner, or when an adult child steps up to help an aging parent. But the script for an adult sibling is much lighter. It says you show up to weddings, you call on birthdays, and you keep in touch. Nobody writes a script for the day you suddenly find yourself running the entire medical, financial, and legal life of your brother or sister. Hundreds of thousands of people navigate this exact situation in total silence because society hasn't established a name for their role. Sibling caregiving usually arrives in one of two ways. In the first, your sibling has a lifelong disability. Your parents handled the appointments and the paperwork for 40 years. When they can no longer do it, the system that used to be them becomes you. In the second, your sibling is aging and doesn't have children or a partner. A health crisis hits, the doctor asks for next of kin, and the phone call goes to you. The moment you pick up that phone, you collide with the next of kin priority, a hardwired hierarchy used by every hospital and bank in the country. Institutions prioritize marriage and descent. Spouses and adult children sit firmly at the top. Siblings are pushed to the very bottom. These barriers create constant friction. Intake nurses reroute questions, and specialists refuse to share medical information because the system doesn't recognize your authority. Medical and legal infrastructures were built for the nuclear family unit, which means they effectively exclude sibling caregivers by design. This exclusion often becomes clear during a 2 a.m. hospital crisis when you realize you have no legal standing to make a decision for the person in the bed. Healthcare and financial powers of attorney do not move horizontally. They do not pass automatically from a parent to a sibling, or from one sibling to another. If your sibling can no longer give consent, you're forced into a slow, invasive court guardianship process, right when you need to be acting quickly. You are likely navigating this without a backup network. While an adult child caring for a parent usually has siblings to call on, a sibling caregiver is often the last one left. You also inherit an archive. You become responsible for decades of specialized history, childhood records, and behavioral plans previously kept only in overstuffed filing cabinets. There is also the psychological friction of role reversal. Managing the finances and bodily autonomy of a peer you've known since childhood is a distinct emotional burden that a parent-child relationship doesn't share. Sibling caregivers are left to manage a complex shared history while fighting a system that offers no safety net. A spouse walks into a clinic with implicit social authority. The doctor assumes they belong there, but as a sibling, your authority must be engineered. You actively prove your right to be involved. Securing a power of attorney provides the legal standing the system denies. Once you have the authority, you have to organize the archive. Carrying a scoped, shareable digital summary of that mountain of medical history allows you to brief a new specialist in minutes rather than hours. When your legal authority is anchored directly to that medical summary in a digital system, the 2 a.m. ER intake becomes a 5-minute check-in instead of a 45-minute reconstruction of your sibling's life. Software cannot resolve a lifelong emotional relationship or replace the support of a counselor, but it can remove the systemic friction that makes the practical work feel impossible. Sibling caregivers are finally becoming visible, not as an anomaly, but as people fulfilling a fundamental human role the world is just beginning to name.